So, before we move on to today's topic, where we will be discussing about inheritance and the super keyword that basically matters a lot in the interviews questions. Okay. So, before we get into this topic, as I told, we will be having a quick discussion on yesterday's test paper. Okay. And then we'll proceed with this. So, let me show you the question paper for yesterday's session. So this was the question paper. First, if I can show you some quick statistics we got. So here, if you look, we have different scores scored by the students. I was expecting like scores like 9 and 10, but unfortunately, none of us got 9 and 10. Three of us got 8, and six of us got 7, and then four of us got 6. So basically, for me, the consideration will be from 7 onwards. According to me, only 9 of us has able to score more than 7. Okay. Remaining all, we need to see like where actually we went wrong and what was the problem. Okay. This test was purely on method overloading. Okay. So let's have a quick revision on method overloading along with the test paper. Okay, the first question was uh, there is a class, okay, and we have a method called M1 with public return type as void, and we have two arguments, int I, float f, okay, and inside that we are telling int float method called. Similarly, I'm overloading that M1 method, okay, same modifier, same return type, basically that doesn't matter, but still, okay, they are same, so it's okay. And then we have a name of the method as M1 and float f int I. Okay, float f and int I. So float int method called. That is what I'm printing inside this M1 method. Now in the main method, I'm making an object of the class because these are all instance methods. So I have to call them with an object. So I'm making an object of the class and then calling the M1 method with 2020. Okay. Now let's see how many of you have answered this question correct. So if we look at this question here, first question. So 76.9% of us have answered correct. Remaining all, like 23% of us thought that it will print in float and others none. Great. Okay, at least I can see that a similar question we had in our session, I mean during this session. So I hope it's very clear that it will give an ambiguity result, right? It will give an ambiguity result. Can someone justify like why it will give a compile time error here? Why I will be getting this ambiguity result or compiler error for this program? What kind of error you get in by the Java compiler for this particular question? Why we will be getting both methods widening is possible, so it cannot choose between the methods. Very nice. Thank you, Anirudh. Okay, that's great. So here, when we call this 20 and 20, then here what happens? There is one exact match, one widening. Okay, one exact match and one widening. So order doesn't matter. Generally, we think that as int first comes. So we may think that int float method gets called, but that is not happening here because here one exact match and one widening. So that way both are applicable. So we will be getting compile time. Okay, we will be getting compile time. If you want, I can quickly show you the execution, but I hope we did this before. It's clear because many of us have answered correct. So let's proceed for the next one. So this may be a little tricky. So let's see who can answer. So there's a class and we have a method here called book, which is a static method. Okay, and it's printing short. So it takes an argument short and prints short. And the second method is also taking an argument short. But what is the difference between first method and second method, guys? What is the difference? between first method and second method argument. Okay, Sangeeta says like second method is a wrapper class or first method is a wrapper class, Sangeeta. Okay, first is a primitive. Thank you. Second is a wrapper type. As we can see, it's S capital here. So it's allowed, right? And what about this long? Is it a wrapper type or primitive type? Wrapper type or primitive type? Wrapper type. Very nice. So this way we can see like we have a primitive type short and we have a wrapper type short and then wrapper type long. Okay. So now when I go here and take a, is this allowed? Short int room is equal to 1. Is this statement allowed? What exactly I'm doing here? Am I making a variable which holds value 1 of type short, or I'm making an object of short? What exactly happening here at this particular line? Short, short room is equal to 1. Okay, we are creating object. But is it allowed to store the value like this to create an object? Because this is not the way we generally create an object. Okay, what is this concept called as, Sangeeta? Is this concept called as? It is called auto boxing, right? It has been introduced from Java 5 onwards. It is called auto boxing, where a literal value gets converted into an object. Okay, it gets converted into an object. So this is allowed from Java 5 onwards. Earlier to Java 5, it was not allowed actually. Okay, you cannot simply write these kind of statements before Java 5 because you cannot store the value to the object directly like this. But after auto boxing, this is perfectly okay. So I'm making an object here, and second is a primitive type. So when I call the first one, which method gets called? The first one or the second one? Which method gets called? The first one or the second one? First one is of primitive type. No, first one is of primitive type, you can see. First is a primitive type and second is a short type. There is, okay, it's not exact match, we can say, Sarika. It's a wrapper type, basically. Okay, so there is no exact match for it. Uh, okay, and there is no widening possible. So it simply goes and call the wrapper type. Okay, or I can say it's wrapper to wrapper. In that sense, you can say it's an exact match. Okay, what about the second one? When I call int room, which method gets called now? Short method, short wrapper type, or long wrapper type? Which method gets called? So for this question, okay, we can see there is a lot of confusion. There is a lot of confusion regarding this type. Why? Because, okay, here the problem is there is no exact match because I'm passing int, there is no exact match. And remember, guys, this widening is not possible from primitive to wrapper type. Huh? Widening is not possible. It may look for if there is a class called integer as a wrapper, then it may look for it. But as this is primitive type and there is no exact match for integer, there is no widening possible, there is no wrapper class available, there is no where are. So that way we will be getting an error at this line because remember from int to long it cannot convert. Okay, because it's widening will happen with primitives or wrapper must be matched with the same name. Otherwise it will be wrong. Clear, Anirudh? So that's the reason we will not be getting the long method called and we will be getting the error for this. So when you look at the options, short, long, short, short. So let us see the statistics here. So many of us, almost 38.5% of us thought that it will print short, long, wrong. Okay. 11% of us thought short, short, obviously not. And then short and then short, it's again Not correct. But it will give compile time error. So only 8 of us thought that it will give a compile time error. Remaining all we thought that it will print some value, okay, which is not correct. So I hope the concept is clear about exact match, widening, wrapper type, and variable length argument. So now let's go and see the next one. So if you see the next one here, now you see this. I think this you can calculate and you can see yourself. We are having a method called M, which taking int and double, okay, and okay, and double, and then int. So it's performing some sort of calculation. Just let me just show you like whether it's possible to call which method gets called for each of these calls. The first thing we have double. A is of type integer and B is of type double. So first one, what do you think, guys? Is it exact match or widening? About the first one, A is of type integer, B is of type double. Do we have a method with an exact match? Yes. Okay, exact. What about this one? C comma A. C comma A. What it will do? Exact match, widening, wrapper type, or variable length argument. A comma B was an exact match. Tarika, that's correct. But what about this C comma A? Which method gets called? C is of type double, A is of type integer. So it will go for widening, right? It will go for widening. Okay. So double gets called. Double gets called. Now A comma int of D. Okay. Again, this got converted to integer. Again, there is an exact match. So please calculate accordingly. Okay. And you can see here that answer. Uh, Let us see like how many of you answered correct. Right. So almost 38% of you answered 25, 13, and 12. And remaining, I don't know, like there is no compile time error for this. And there must be some calculation mistake here. So please check once. Okay. So that way you can see that most importantly, the which method is getting called is more important. Then only you can answer such kind of questions. Okay. Now let's see who will answer, because now by this you might understood like what kind of questions are and how you're going to answer this. Now if we have character A1 1 and long 2, so we are calling A1. So which method gets called here, guys? First, if I call A1, which method gets called here? There is no exact match, obviously. There is no exact match. So what do you think? Like which method gets called? Exact match is not there. So whether widening possible or whether this line gives you error. Okay. Sarika thinks float method gets called for both time, Sarika. For both float method gets called. Okay. Nice. What do you think, guys? Do you agree with Sarika? Like both will call the float method. Here M of A1 will call the float method and M of B1 will call the float method. And whether character A1 is equal to 1 is allowed. Okay, that's nice. So the correct answer is print float double, double float, or double. Okay, I might have given compile time error. People might have selected, but anyhow, let's see how many of you have answered float. So if you look at these questions, okay, and only 38% people answered float. I don't know, like 46% of you thought that it will print float double. I don't know why you think float double, because long will be widening possible with the float, because float is the nearest one, double is the next level. Okay. So it will be still converting into float, not long. So that way the answer is float, not float double. And some of us think that double and double float. Please make sure like there should be like no confusion. You should know why float is getting called, because that is nearest widening. Okay, always it will look for the nearest widening, right? So there is nothing wrong. It will simply give you float. Now here we have a variable length argument and a wrapper type. So when I call byte b is equal to 5b comma b, so which one gets called? Variable length argument or wrapper type? which method gets called here, guys? There are two methods, variable wrapper type. Why wrapper type? Why wrapper type? Sarika says wrapper type. Sangeeta says wrapper type. I don't know what happened today, but people are not that active. But thank you for some of you. Priority greater than Virar. Nice. Okay. As per the priority, this wrapper type got the highest priority. Okay. And variable length has the least priority. Very nice. Thank you, Sangeeta. So that way we can see the answer for this is okay. Answer for this is byte. Okay. So let's see how many of us answered correct. You can see the statistics is very disturbing. Why? Because still many people have a lot of confusion actually. Okay. So which question was this? Okay, here it is. So byte. Okay, byte gets called. So 53.8% of us thought correct, but remaining 6, 5, and 1 thought that it will give byte or runtime error or compile time error. I hope it's clear. There is nothing wrong. I don't know why you thought compile time error if you are here. Please let me know. If you did not follow that question, please. Now, which is the correct priority order of the method? Resolution. So which is the correct priority, guys? Is it VARARC then widening then auto boxing, or widening then auto boxing then VARARC, or auto boxing widening then VARARC, or exact match VARARC and then auto boxing? What correct priority order they follow? Second. Okay, great. I hope everybody might have answered this correct because this is quite straightforward. Yes, 69% have answered correct, but still there are around 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people who thinks other options. If you have any question, please let me know because here there is no exact match. So widening is the next priority, then auto boxing, then VAR. So this order is correct. The others are not. Now here if we have a test int A and long B, and then we have where R, and then we create an object and say 5 comma 10. So 5 comma 10 is of integer type. So which one gets called, guys? Widening or where arc? The same question we had earlier, but in a different way. So obviously here widening gets called. Yeah, widening gets called because of the priority. So let's see how many of us answered this question correct. Nice. 80% of us answered correct. Okay, great. So this is the thing. And next is we have main. Okay, and there are two main methods, one with string array, one with string s. Okay, and then we have a call to the main method. So first question is overloading of method possible? Yes or no? And second thing is, which method gets called? Which method, main method gets called? String with array or string variable? Which method gets called? So first of all, is main method overloading is possible? Is main method overloading is possible? How many of you think that main method overloading is possible? How many of us think that main method overloading is possible? Oh, okay, let us see with others. What do you think, guys? Main method overloading is possible or not? Okay. Actually, it is possible. Thank you, Pawan. It is possible. Okay, and the output for this is it will say overloaded main hello. Okay, it will say overloaded main hello. So option C is correct. So let's see how many of us have answered option C. So option C has answered by 57%. 10 of us thought that it will give compilation error. Maybe the reason that you thought method overloading is not, main method overloading is not possible because method is just like user defined method. Huh? You can overload, but remember, this is the method the JVM calls. If this method is not there, obviously we'll get a compile time error, but this method is calling the string method. Okay, that's perfectly okay. There is nothing wrong with this. So we will be getting overloaded main method. Last question. we have string S, object O. When we pass null, okay, which method gets called now? String or the object? Which method gets called? The string method gets called or the object method gets called? See, both are actually class type, right? I cannot say exactly wrapper type, but they are class type. So they can take class type as an argument as well. So what do you think, guys? Which method gets called, string or the object? When I'm passing null, string method. That's nice. Okay. String method gets called. The output for this is string because this is the value for a string, right? So null could be a default value for string. So the string method gets called, and also object may hold null, but this is closer. So that's why string gets called. Then the object gets the next preference. So that way you can see the questions are quite straightforward. I mean, like completely tested you on method overloading with all the concepts, like whether you know what is exact match, when widening is possible, okay, when auto boxing can happen, or wrapper classes get executed, and when where variable length arguments gets priority. So testing you all these things with an ambiguity error, limited questions, but we tried covering all the concepts here so that once you complete this, and if you can take 10 out of 10, or if you can get 10 out of 10 if on every test, it means you have no doubt in any of the concept. If you are getting 9, 8, 7, if you are even missing one, there must be a doubt, and it's our responsibility that we should make things clear. So let's talk about inheritance. So I would like to show you a slide, and I would like to have a question on this slide. What comes in your mind when you look at this picture? What is first word come comes in your mind when you look at this picture here? Okay, Meghna says they got same nose. Let us see from others as well. What comes in your mind? Okay, when you see this picture. This is again from Greedy Booth, one of the like famous textbook for object-oriented programming concept. So you can look at this and you can tell me what comes in your mind when you look at this picture. Okay, grandfather, father. Okay, nice. Okay. You mean they belongs to one family? That's what you mean? Okay, thank you, Sangeeta. So they belongs to one family. Nice. Okay. They belongs to one family. Okay, basically this picture talks about inheritance in human being, because this quality basically we find in human being, and we will see how this will help in programming as well. So what exactly comes in when we see this picture is actually, as many of you said, like the nose feature is inherited in the family. Okay, it gets inherited. This feature is inherited in a family. We find this term called inheritance a lot in our real time, right? So a lot of time you see your relatives will say like you inherited this quality from your parents. Okay, the way you walk, the way you talk, okay, the way you smile. Okay, so a lot of features you generally get from your parents. So this way, okay, we call this as inheritance. Okay, inheriting the features from the parent into the child is basically called it as inheritance. And let us see what is inheritance in Java and how it will help us, how it will be benefit in our coding. Okay, so let's get into the definition for inheritance. Inheritance is a mechanism by which, okay, by which the object, okay, acquires the some or all the properties of the another object. So if we acquire the properties or the characteristics of one object into another object, or one class into another class, we call them as inheritance. We call them as inheritance. Just like in our previous slide, the nose is a feature from the parent. It got inherited into the child. May not be all features. Some features or all features can be inherited. Okay. Later we will see how to restrict and all. But remember, some of the features or all of the features can be inherited from one object to another object or one class to another class is called inheritance. It's called inheritance. And you know, this is the third characteristic or third principle of object oriented programming, okay, which is most important concept. Okay, now you can see this diagram. Here it says like child inherits the property from the father, right? So let's say if your father has 500 crores, okay, then that is inherited directly to you being a child of your parent. That's the main benefit you get with inheritance. Even though you have like not earned a single penny, but still you may have 500 crores in your account because it got inherited from your parent. Okay. So that is basically child inherits the properties from the parent. Reverse is not possible. Inheritance is everywhere in Java. It's safe to say that it's almost impossible to write even the tiniest Java program without single inheritance. Okay, without using inheritance, it is not even possible to write even a single program in Java. What does it mean? From day one onwards, from day one onwards, whatever the programs you have written, whatever the programs you have written, you knowingly, unknowingly, you have used inheritance. You knowingly, unknowingly has used inheritance. Let me just show you. So if I go to okay, now if you look at this class, okay, this is the basic class. Let's say hello world class. I'll just add system dot out dot print method. Okay, and I'm printing hello Java. This is the first program we might have written, right? So my question to everyone here that am I using inheritance here? Am I using inheritance here? We just write a class called test. We have a main method here, okay? And we're just printing hello Java. This could be our first program we have written when we started learning Java, printed just hello Java onto the console. So now my question to everyone, even this tiniest program, simply printing hello Java, okay? Am I using inheritance here? Am I using inheritance here? Okay. Great. So let us discuss about this, whether we are actually using inheritance here or not. Okay, inheritance here or not. To make it clear, what I will do is, let's say, for example, okay, for example, if we have a method here, let's say we have a method inside this test class, we have a method. Okay, we have a method. Let me show you. So we have a method, let's say show int, okay, and I'm printing int, and I'm printing int. Now tell me, like, if I have to call this method, show method, if I have to call, how we have to call the show method here? There's a class called test. I have a show method. Now I wanted to execute this from the main method. I wanted to execute this from the main method. Okay. So as it is non-static method, so I cannot call with class name. I'm creating an object of this class. So once I create the object of the class, if I have to print this show, or if I have to call the show, so how can I call the show method, guys? Very nice. Thank you. So we will be giving t dot show. Agree? T dot show. I will call and I will pass some value here, integer value. Okay, so that it matches with the argument and it gets executed, right? Can I directly call show method, guys? Can I directly call show method? Okay. Everybody thinks no. What error we will get if I directly call the show method? Because we are in the same class now. That's why I'm asking this question. Actually, I'm in the same class. Okay. Actually, I'm in the same class. So my question to everyone, can I call the show method directly? Because if I'm in different class, then it makes sense. They have to import it if it is in a different package, then make an object and then call it. It's okay, it makes sense. But as I'm in the same class, don't you think that I can call that method directly? Okay. The reason here is mainly static. Anyhow, we will discuss about this static moving forward. But anyhow, let me tell you, like, actually you can call the method directly because we're in the same class. The only reason we were not able to call that because static methods cannot call non-static methods directly. Okay. Static methods cannot call non-static methods directly. Otherwise, if this method is also static, if this method is also static, Sarika, now we can call without creating the object. Can I call this method directly without creating the object if it is also static? Yes. Okay. So you can see here, I will be getting the output. No worries. So I'll just go here, uh, execute the here I find. So let's clear the screen. Now when we compile our test class, okay, when we compile our test class, the class gets compiled. Now when we run our test class, it gets execute and you can see int is getting printed. So I can call the method directly because it belongs to the same class actually. It belongs to the same class. If it is non-static, then I have to create an object I cannot call directly if it is a non-static. So you can see here when I compile, I will get compile time error saying that non-static method cannot be called from the static method. So you cannot call show. We will discuss that moving forward. But now, as you all said, like I can call t dot show. I can call t dot show because show is a method from the same class. Show is a method from the same class. So test t is equal to new test. I'm making an object. Now I'm calling show. It's perfectly okay. It will not give any error this time. It will compile and execute and we'll be getting the same result as integer. Okay, same result as integer. So this way you can see that 23 getting stored in X and then int is getting. Is this program clear for all? Is this program clear for all? That how we can call method from the same class from main method? I did not taught you what is static and non-static right now. We will be having a discussion about it. But at least one rule is very clear to all that main method, as it is static, they cannot access the instance data. Okay. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you, Meghana. Let's see with others, guys. Is this clear for all? Because to understand the next concept, it is important that how we are calling the method is important. Okay. Now look at this code and tell me look at this code and tell me how it is possible. Okay, let's have a look at this code. A similar code I'm going to make. I will create a class called test, public static void main, creating an object test t1 is equal to new test. Okay, so you know that an object gets created with nothing inside it. Simply this line will create you an object like this. Nothing inside because there are no fields. So simply you can see here an object will be created. Okay, an object will be created and t1 will be referring to this object will have some address will have some address. Okay, t1 is a object creation. When I say test t2 is equal to new test, again another object is getting created. Okay, another object is getting created with the address and then we will be having t2 as a reference. We'll be having t2 as a reference. Okay, so two objects are getting created. So this is what exactly happening at this particular time. Now if I have to check whether they are pointing to same address or not, how can I do that? If I have to check whether they are pointing to same address or not. Okay, we need to check their hash code. And Sangeeta says we need to call this equals method. Okay, equals method. So Sangeeta says like I can call t1 dot equals or t2 dot equals. But Sangeeta, my question is Do we have this equals method in our class? Because just now we have seen, if I have to call the show method now, it should be present in my class, right? It should be present in my class, then only I can call show method. But as you said, like I can call t1 dot equals to check their addresses, whether they're equal or not. So is it allowed? Because we don't have equals method, Sangeeta. So t1 dot equals t2. That's what suggestion. I don't need a constructor basically here. Okay. So just wanted to check like whether they are pointing to the same address or not. Okay, whether they're pointing to same address or not. So Sangeeta suggested that calls the equals method. But my question is, when I call t1 dot equal, it means it's a method from the test class, because t1 is an object of the test class. Do we have a method called equals here inside the test class? Do you have equals method, guys? No, right? Then can I call t1 dot equals, t2 dot equals? Because equals method for objects can compare addresses. That's correct. Okay, but my question is, can I call t1 dot equals, t2 dot equals? Because equals method is not present here. I can only call with that object if that method is belongs to that object. Okay, if that method is not belongs to the object, I cannot call it. Let's say there is no method called display, right? If I call display method, there is no method called display here. So that way it will give error saying that I don't find the symbol. It will give error that cannot find symbol display, because variable t of type test, we don't have this display method. I can only call the method with that object which is available for that particular class. So that's why when we get this answer that t1 dot equals t2 will compare the addresses. But my question was, do we have equals method inside this test? Okay. Many of you said no, but actually the correct answer is yes. We have equals method inside this class. Okay. We have equals method inside the class. How it is coming? So whenever I'm writing this test class, even the first test class we write, even the first test class we write, I told you every program, okay, from day one you're writing, you are actually using inheritance. So here you're inheriting, okay, you're inheriting from a class called object. Okay, you're inheriting a class called object implicitly. So object is a universal superclass. Okay, it's a universal superclass or universal parent class, meaning it's a parent class for every class. It's a parent class for every class. And what methods this class has? This object class has methods like equals method to compare the object's addresses, or it can be overloaded and compares the contents, like string overload this method for comparing the contents. It has hash code method, it has wait method, it has notify method, it has notify all method. So there are a lot of methods available inside this object class, which is universal superclass. So whenever you're writing any program, okay, whenever you're writing any program, it will be inherited from the object class. This is getting added by default. Okay, you are saying that you don't see inheritance here because you don't see this physically. It's done implicitly. And all the methods from the object class are directly available to you. All the methods from the object class is directly available to you. And that is the reason this t1 dot equals t2 is a valid statement. T1 dot T2 is a valid statement because equal method, the moment I ask, do we have equal method inside the test class? The answer is yes. You cannot see that, but it is coming from the objects. It is coming from the object. It's clear, Sangeeta? And others as well. Like when I say that java dot lang dot, let me show you the object class, what it contains. If I show you the object class, it has the class name is object. It's a universal superclass. It has a default constructor. We have methods like get class, hash code, equals method, okay, clone method, toString method, notify all, wait method, wait with parameters, and then finalize method and a static. So these are the methods present in the object class. A very important concept. It's a part of our syllabus, both for JNT and certification. So we will be covering it in detail, but now just wanted to show you like object is considered as a universal superclass or universal parent class. So calling this T1 dot equals T2 is perfectly valid. It's perfectly valid. Even there is a field called instance of, we'll check whether it is an instance of the particular class or not. Is it T1 is an instance of object? Yes, because every child class could be an instance for the parent class as well. So object is a parent class, so this will also return true. So the correct answer for this will be false and true. Why? Because they are not equal, they are pointing to two different places. Instance of will return true. Instance of will return. So that way they are not equal. Okay, it will print they are not equal because I'm using not here. And then it will say, yes, T1 is an object. Okay, it's a T1's object. So why, how it is possible? Where did the equal method come from? What will be your answer, guys, now? Is it coming from test class or object class? Where did the equal method come from? The object class. Very nice. It is not directly available in the test class, okay, but it's coming from the object class. The reference variable T1 is of type test and there is no equals method in the test class, right? But still they can call it. The second, if test asks whether T1 is an instance of the class object and if test succeeds. So how T1 is an instance of the type. So you may get a lot of questions from the previous program, but the answer is all because of inheritance. This is all because of inheritance. Okay. Every class you will ever use or ever write will inherit from the class called object. Okay. So that's why I just wanted to prove you that statement that even the tiniest program in Java will make use of inheritance. Just to prove you, I've taken that example to prove you that every class is getting inherited from the object. You'll always have an equals method, a clone method, notify method, wait method, and other methods available. So all these methods are directly available to you. You can use them. You can use notify method, you can use notify all, wait method, finalize method, you can override, equals method, you can make use, toString method, you can use and override. So all these methods are directly available. Okay, they're directly available. You can make use out of it. So every program you're writing is inheriting from the objects. So object is treated as a universal superclass. Okay, and all the methods from the object class is available to you. You can make use out of it and you can override it. Okay, so with this introduction, let's get started with the inheritance in Java. Okay, so let's see what is the need of inheritance. Let us understand with an example of four classes. Let's say we have four classes here, dog class, pro, and then we have duck and the lion. Okay, these are the four classes we have here. Now look at these four classes and you may have many more like this. For every animal, you may have different classes. What do you think problem with this approach, guys? So all four classes of them will have eat method and sleep method, but each of them also have their unique something unique they can do. Like dog will have eat method, sleep method, and bark. Crow will have eat, sleep, and fly. Duck will have eat, sleep, and swim, and lion has eat, sleep, and hunt. So what do you see the problem here? What is the problem with this implementation? If I ask you to implement these four classes, this is how you might have implemented the four classes. Eat, sleep gets repeated. Okay, lot of repeated code. Thank you, Anirudh. Worship also thinks that there are a lot of repeated code here. Okay, so eat and sleep method is implemented multiple times. So what will be the problem if I implement multiple times? They may like basically you may have thousands of classes like this. Repetition is one of the problem, and each method may have hundreds of lines of code and a lot of code you need to rewrite which is not easy, right? Here I'm just showing you two methods, but in real time, it could be many methods repeated, and each method may have a lot of code into it, which becomes very tedious job for you if you have to implement, correct? Which becomes very tedious job if you have to implement. Let's try to understand with one real-time example. Okay, let's try to understand this with real-time example that we will be using it for our inheritance concept as well. Okay, so look at this. I will be making a method. Sorry, I'll be making a class. Let it be the test class. I'm going to introduce another object for you, which we will be using for this concept. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to implement an object called subscriber. Okay, a phone subscriber, I can say. Okay, let's make a story. Let's say in some year 1947. Okay, BSNL BSNL company has decided to create a class called subscriber, which has functionalities for a phone subscriber to make and receive call. Okay, to make and receive call. So let's say the subscriber class have features like he can make call and he can receive call. He can receive call. So this features generally we find in telephones, right? So a subscriber class can make use of this. So BSNL company has decided to create a class called subscriber where it can provide these two features for the phone subscribers. So let's do that. So let's say I'm helping out the BSNL company and creating a class called subscriber, creating a class called subscriber. Going inside the subscriber class, we'll have this method for making call and receiving call. So we will say public, return type is void, name of the method is make call. Name of the method is make call. And here I will be printing system dot out dot print ln. Okay, print ln. I can print here that subscriber is making call. Okay, subscriber is making call. Right now, I am not adding any properties. Later, if you add the property, you can print the name of the subscriber also. Subscriber is making. Real time, you may have a lot of implementation here, like how you make call and how you calculate all these things. But for now, what I want is I simply want a simple message to be printed when you have this make call. So the subscriber class has a method called make call, which is printing subscriber is making call. Subscriber is making call. Now I will have one more method here. I will have one more method here for receiving the call. Okay, for receiving the call. So I will just say RECIE. I hope it spells correct. And then I will say here subscriber is receiving call. Subscriber is receiving call. Now my subscriber class is ready. Okay, for the BSNL company, I have written the logic for making the call and I've written the logic for receiving call. Whoever uh, make an object of subscriber, they can use these services. Okay, make call and receive. Suppose you went to shop and you purchase a phone, then you become an object of that subscriber. Now BSNL company will tell that you can make call, you can receive call using this telephone, using this telephone. Now let's go to test class and see if I can make call and receive call. Okay, if I can make call and receive call. So I will say that subscriber S1 is equal to new subscriber. Okay, I'll make an object of the class. Subscriber S1 is equal to new subscriber. It's called the constructor. Okay, which is a default constructor. Now, when I say S1, okay, when I say S1 dot make call, S1 dot make call, it will print that subscriber is making call. When I say S1 dot receive call, it will print me subscriber is receiving call. Okay, so this is how I can make an object of subscriber S1 is equal to new subscriber, and we are calling the method like make call and receive call. Let's see if this works. A very simple program. Let's see if this works. Okay, when I just go here, compile the code gets compiled. Okay, and when I run this code, it's printing subscriber is making call and subscriber is receiving call. Okay, subscriber is making call and subscriber is receiving. So this way, you can see that I'm making an object for the subscriber class, which is making use of the services like make, call, and receive. Now I would like to wait here and see that is this code clear for all? Is this implementation clear for all? We're making a subscriber class and we are making an object of the subscriber class and we are calling it. Okay, Anirudh says yes. Now, let's say after this, the story continues. Let's say after few years, BSNL company has decided to create one more service for wireless subscriber. Okay, mobile phones. Let's say in 20th century, okay, they are launching the mobile phone. Okay, they are wanted to launch the wild phone or the wireless phones kind of thing. Okay, I think BSNL is the first company like which actually had the wireless phones. I hope you might have seen. So wireless subscribers, they wanted to make it. So what services through mobile phone they can provide? They can still provide make call, right? They can still receive call. Other than that, can you tell me what services we may have with WLS now? If you purchase a mobile phone, you can also send SMS, right? Through mobile, which is not possible with your regular phones, landline phones. Now you can also receive SMS also. Okay. So these features you can provide in the WLS class. These features you can provide in the WLS class. So now my question to everyone here, do I need to write all these features in WLS class now? Let's say I wanted to make a class called WLS. Okay. I wanted to make a class called WLS. Okay. Then I will be having all these features. What are the features here now? Features are make call, receive call. This is already there, so I will take those features as it is. Then I may have other features as well, like send SMS. So I will say subscriber is sending SMS, sending SMS. And here I will have receive SMS. Okay, I will have receive SMS, receiving SMS. Okay, receiving SMS. Now, you see, I have this 4 methods and end of the class. So now you see WLS has 4 methods now. Make call for making call, receive call for receiving the call, send SMS for sending the SMS, and receive SMS for receiving the SMS. Now with subscriber object, can I call send SMS, guys? Send SMS or receive SMS? Yes or no? With subscriber object, can I call send SMS? Why you cannot call send SMS from subscriber object? Because subscriber object class has no method like send SMS. Agree? Agree with this? You see, subscriber has only 2 methods, make call and receive call. Does subscriber have a send SMS method? Right, that's what we are learning. With that object, you can call the methods which are available for that class. Okay, so that way you can see we will be getting an error this time. The first two methods gets work, but the third method will get error. So when I compile, now you get an error saying that send SMS cannot find. Send SMS cannot find. So you cannot call this. But if I make an object of WLS, suppose you purchase a mobile phone now. So you make an object of WLS. Okay. Here also you make an object of WLS. Now can you call send SMS? Now can you call make call, receive call, and send SMS? Yes. Okay. Even you can call receive SMS as well. Now let me show you the execution. Okay. Now we compile. It gets compiled. Now when we run, you can see subscriber is making call, subscriber is receiving call, subscriber is sending us. Okay. So this is two different classes now. We have a subscriber class and we have WLS class. WLS class. Now let's say after this, okay, after this, BSNL company, okay, let's say in, I can say this could be in 1995, okay, or 1995, we can say. Now in 2000, the BSNL company has decided to have another class called BBS for broadband subscriber. Okay, they started providing internet as well through that wired telephone. They started providing internet services as well. Now, being a broadband subscriber, what you can do? You can again make call. If you purchase a phone which has broadband service, you can also receive a call. Okay, you can send the SMS. You can send the SMS and you can receive the SMS. What additional feature broadband subscriber can do, guys? What additional feature the broadband subscriber can do? He can browse internet, right? He can make use of internet or he can browse internet. Now, suppose I wanted to make a class called BBS. Here I can make the class called BBS now. Inside this BBS, I will have all these features. I will have make call, receive call, send SMS, receive SMS. All these features are available to this BBS. Okay. And then we will have the browse method also. Okay. We will have the browse method as well so that he can browse the internet also. So we will make the method as browse. We will make the method as browse and say subscriber is using internet. Something like this. Okay. So now you see with the help of WLS object, can I call this browse method? Can I call the browse method with WLS? Let's see. What do you say? No. Okay. Why? Because the browse is not available in WLS. So you can make an object. There are three independent classes. You can make the object of individual and you can only use the methods from that class only, right? Okay. So clear the screen, compile the code. You can see the code is getting error because 1 minute. First mistake is it was not putting semicolon. I haven't saved it after putting. Now again we'll compile and you can see I'm getting error saying cannot find symbol called browse. But if I make the object of BBS, can I call browse now? Can I call browse? Yes, BBS has this method called browse. I can call this browse internet, compile the code, it gets compiled, execute the code. You can see here that the code get execute. Okay, and you can see subscriber is making call, receiving call, sending SMS and receive. Okay, but you see, it took me, I think, more than 15 minutes, right, to write this code. A lot of code we have written, almost 60, 70 lines of code we have written. But do you see the same problem as we have seen here in this diagram? That a lot of code is repeated. You agree with this? Lot of code is repeated. You see make call and receive call getting repeated here. Okay. Again, it's getting repeated in BBS. You can see the BBS class is becoming very big because I have this make call, receive call, send SMS, receive SMS. So it's getting repeated. So I can fix this problem with inheritance. Okay. So how to fix this problem, you tell me, then I will rewrite my code to fix that particular problem. How can I avoid this repetition of the code? Using this example, how can I provide the repetition of the code like eat and sleep method? Directly, if I use that keyword, will it help, Anirudh? Just look at this diagram and tell me how can I fix this problem of redundant code so that I don't have to repeat code every time. I don't have to repeat the code. Write a method only for eat and sleep and inherit in all four methods. So where we will write that version? Where we will write that method? You're going good. So we need to, what Varshit says, you write this eat and sleep method once and then inherit in every class. I agree with that. But where I have to write? Okay, very nice. So, so here just now you have seen that you have experienced the pain of duplicate code. You see how big program I have written. Even though I have to copy paste, but I have written a lot of code. In real time, things may be different and you may be writing a lot of code and you can experience the pain of the duplicating the code. And when you make a change in one place, you have to track down all the other places. Suppose I wanted to make this video calling. I have to make this for video calling. Then I have to change everywhere, right? If I increase or decrease the amount for making call, sending SMS, I have to rewrite for everywhere, which is very tedious job, which is very tedious job. So in a small set of classes, it's still okay, but for big programs is not correct. It's time consuming, redundant, and also require a lot of maintenance. This is where inheritance can help. So in inheritance, as Varshit said, like we can make a class called animal and make the methods like eat and sleep. And then we inherit this class in every class. So eat and sleep will be inherited in every class. Now, can I say that all this class have, how many methods the dog class has, guys? How many methods this dog class has? Can someone tell me the count? 3 methods. Very good. Same for crow, lion, duck, right? They have 3 methods. 2 are getting from animal and one its own. One its own. So that way we can see that this is how the inheritance is helping. So the main reason for inheritance is for repetition of the. So the dog, crow, duck, lion classes all inherit from the parent class animal. So the main advantage of inheritance, the new inheritance inherits all the behavior of the original class. The existing class that is used to new class is also called as base class, super class, and the parent class. We'll talk about it. But now please tell me, how can I fix this problem? How can I fix this problem? There are 3 classes: subscriber, WLS, and BBS. Here also a lot of repeated code. Practically, can you help me? How can I fix this problem now? Which line I have to change? Which line number I have to change so that I can avoid the duplication of the code? Okay. So which line I have to do that? Line number 10. Okay. What should I add at line number 10, Anirudh? What should I add at line number 10? Okay. Very nice. So you all agree with Anirudh? When I say extends a subscriber, then make call and receive call gets inherited from the subscriber. So I don't have to write it again. You all agree with Anirudh? The moment I write this extend subscriber, you see, lot of code vanishes because these 2 codes gets inherited. Make call and receive call gets inherited from subscriber class now. Okay. Now still, can I make the object of WLS? Can I make the object of WLS? Can call make call and receive call? Can I call make call and receive call, guys? Let's comment this. Yes. Okay, still, even I'm making an object of WLS. Yeah, Manoj, you have any question? Please let me know. Okay. So if you are making an object of WLS, even though make call and receive call is not directly available in WLS, but still you can make use from subscriber. You can make use from subscriber class now. Now, when I compile the code gets compiled. When I run the code gets, okay, the code is running fine. Meaning you see how much code you have avoided now. You have made this class simple now. You have made this class simple. Now, can I also reduce this BBS class also because a lot of redundant code in the BBS? So at line number 20, which class I have to inherit from? Do I have to inherit from subscriber class or WLS class? Okay, Varshit thinks if I inherit using extends keyword. Okay, if I use inherit from extends keyword and inherit WLS, how many methods I can remove? Can I remove all these methods? Just having browse method. Now you see how simple my class become. Earlier it was around 10-15 lines of code. Now it's hardly 1 line. The browse method. That's all. So still I can make the object of BBS. Okay, I can make the object of BBS here. BBS S1 is equal to new BBS. And then I can call browse, I can call send SMS, I can call receive SMS. All these methods are possible. So now when I compile the code, you can see here the code gets compiled. And then when we run, the code is running fine. So this could be an example of inheritance. Okay, this could be an example of inheritance. So we got a subscriber class, we got a WLS class, which is inherited from subscriber. And then we got BBS class, which is inherited from WLS. So this is the beauty of inheritance. The main advantage of inheritance is code reusability. And the class from which you are inheriting is called base class or super class or the parent class, any name. Okay. But mostly we may make use of base class, but you can also call it as parent class or super class. And the class which you are inheriting is basically called it as subclass, derived class, and child class. So please do remember this name. So these are the classes from which we are inheriting, and these are the classes from we are inheriting into it. Okay. So this is how your inheritance will look. So the main advantage of inheritance is the code reusability. Okay. Code reusability. And it also promotes polymorphism. We will see that, but that is a major advantage of it. Now I have a quick question to move to the next concept. I don't know like how much time left. Yeah, we have still 10 minutes. Let's conclude this topic. Let's see one question here. We have a class called super. Okay, we have a class called super. And then we have a constructor here, super. And then close of the constructor. Okay, so then we will close. We'll have a class called test, which is extending from super. So super is a parent class and test is a child class. Now it is also having a constructor called sub. It is also having a constructor called sub. Now in the main method, if I make an object of new test, I mean, if I just invoke the test constructor, now tell me what will be the output for this? I have a parent class with a constructor. I have a child class because I'm using extends keyword with a constructor. Now I'm invoking the child class constructor. I'm invoking the child class constructor. Okay. So I got the first answer. I wanted everyone to answer this question so that within a couple of slides we can actually learn something interesting. Okay. So look at this as a conclusion. Please answer this question. What? Okay. It refers new reference test class. Fine. So basically, I get mixed answers here. Some of you thinks that both gets printed, super and sub. Order I got different. Someone thinks like sub and then super, or someone thinks super and then sub. But which constructor I'm calling, guys? Parent class or child class? Which constructor I'm calling? Child class, right? So don't you think that child class constructor will execute? Because I'm not calling parent class here. So don't you think only sub will execute, not super? Okay. Uh, can you recall when we discussed about constructors concept? Okay, when we discussed about constructors concept, I told you what is the very first line in every constructor, guys? What is the very first line in every constructor? What is the very first line in every constructor? Okay, it will call super, right? It will call super. So every constructor, the first line is super, even for this, even for this. Okay. even here, it will call super. But here it will calling to the object class basically, because here object is the super class. Okay, so here super is getting added for the object class. Here super is getting added implicit. So that is why the correct answer is first the parent class gets execute and then the child class. Because the rule is whenever you make an object, the parent class gets instantiated and then the child class gets instantiated. So that way you can see here that super and then sub gets printed. Super and then sub gets printed here. Let me do this. Okay, so now you can see here that the output is it's going to print you super and sub. Okay, option A. So within an inheritance class hierarchy, constructor will be invoked in the order from the base class to subclass. Here the constructor of class super execute first because the super keyword is getting added. Then the constructor of the subclass will be in. Clear with this, guys? Clear with this question? Why super class constructor is getting called? Because whenever you create an object of the child class, first it gets instantiated to the parent class, then it gets instantiated to the child class. This is how it makes the inheritance or is a relationship between parent and the child. Okay, now let's see the next question. I would like you to answer this question now. Look at this carefully. I have a super class with a parameterized constructor. Okay, and I'm printing the message. And then we have a test class which extends from the super, so it becomes a child class. And we have a default constructor. Okay, and then I'm having a main method calling the child class constructor. Don't you think only sub gets printed or parent class constructor also getting called? So what is happening here? What is happening is let me try using color. Okay, what exactly happening here is here actually, okay, a super keyword is getting added. Here, the super keyword is getting added, right? Super keyword is getting added. Okay, and it's called the default constructor. So don't you think, Varshit, like it calls the default constructor, so only sub will be the answer? For this code, only sub will be printed. How many of you think that only sub will be printed? Because it's making a call to the default constructor and default constructor does nothing here. So it will not print anything because we have a parameterized constructor and then only sub gets printed. No super is getting printed. You all agree with this discussion? I mean, with this statement that only sub is getting printed here. But there's a small twist here. The twist is whenever we provide our constructor, user defined constructor, whether it is parameterized or whatever, the moment I provide user defined constructor, compiler will not provide the default constructor. So this super keyword is wrong to call. Okay, this super keyword is wrong to call. We cannot call this super, I mean, it implicitly get placed, but initial statement is correct. This will give you error. This will give you error. Why error? Because you are trying to call the super with no argument, but there is no default constructor available. It will complain you. It will complain. So how to fix this problem? Because error is the right answer. It will not print sub, even though the super keyword is getting added, but there is no default constructor available. So it will not work. It will not work. So how to fix this problem, guys? You have to explicitly, okay, you have to explicitly call the parameterized constructor and pass the data. Okay, now you have to do this explicitly. Otherwise, it is doing implicitly. Super keyword is getting called implicitly. But the moment you have user defined constructor, please make sure that from the child class, you call the super keyword explicit. Okay, you call the super keyword explicit. So if you look at here, okay, if you look at the answer, okay, you can see option D will get a compile time error. Why we will get compile time error? Let me clear the screen. Okay, why we will get compile time error? Because during inheritance, the subclass constructor will add a default super method in the call. Constructor on the base class here, we don't have the default constructor. So we got parameterized constructor. So you have to call the perfect parameterized constructor. Otherwise, we will be getting compile time. As an example, you see here, if we have a super, I'll come back to this slides and read it for you. But if you look at this, what do you think about this program, guys? Quickly, you can answer me. What do you think about this program? Will it work or no? As a conclusion, what is the output for this program? Error. Okay, why error? Why error? Because here, okay, here a default constructor is getting added like this, and there will be a super call. Okay, super call. So, but there is no default constructor here. So calling this super here will give you error because there is no default constructor available. Even though you are not providing any constructor. So this is very important in inheritance that you should know that are you calling the correct parent class constructor? Okay. Are you correct calling the parent class constructor or not? So this gives you error saying that you will get a compile time error saying that implicit default constructor A is undefined in class A and you cannot call the default constructor because there is no default constructor. And to fix this, what you have to do is you have to add a super. Okay, you have to add a super keyword. Now, if you look at this, the next code, here you have to explicitly call the super. Provide a constructor, call the super with integer parameter, and then it will work. So that is a use of the super. Okay. So as today's topic, we started with inheritance and concluded with super keyword. Now, I guess next session will be after your exam, but I hope maximum concepts we have covered. And now you can take up at least the mid exam and score full marks, especially in your objective as well as in the subjective. But still, there are some topics to be covered, even though we have tried taking everyday class, but it's very vast, right? I need hardly 10 classes we have taken. So in 10 classes, but at least I can say 60-70% of your syllabus has been completed. But I strongly recommend that please read and give your best for the mid exam because once your scores gets recorded, it cannot be changed. So that way, make sure also in inheritance, you please learn one more thing called types of inheritance. Huh? I thought of covering that topic as well, but time constraint, we were not able to see types of inheritance. But I will strongly tell you, please learn this type of inheritance, single, multi-level, hierarchical, multiple, hybrid. Important topic for final exam as well. So this will be at least little conclusion for inheritance. But after your mid exam, we will go into the depth and we will be learning a lot of things from beginning to the evaluation, like what added in Java 7 to Java 8 and Java 9 and Java 11. So every version, what things gets added for a particular topic, we will be discussing in detail. Okay.